We'll be starting soon. And we're still just having a trickle in of more attendees, so I just don't want them to miss out on the event. So I'm just going to hold off on a quick minute. All right, well, welcome to a online event by Immigrant Services Calgary. My name is Carlin, and I'm a newcomer employment specialist from Immigrant Services Calgary, and I am the person here who has the best job in the room. That's my opinion, but you guys can disagree with me. So as I said, we are starting our workshop called Overcoming Obstacles, and it's a special workshop today. So we do have some administrative things that we'd like to start with. So I'd like to humbly thank you, our program funder, IRCC. I just want to thank them for their continued support that makes these events possible. A few quick reminders before we begin our online event. Please turn off your microphones and your cameras. We are currently being recorded on Facebook Live. And also when we have a lot of people recording or broadcasting messages at the same time, things can get chaotic in here. Absolutely no abusive language will be tolerated during this online event. And do not post any personal information in the chat box. Please save any questions for the end of the event and type them into the chat. We will moderate the questions and allow Josephine to answer the questions. I also want to let you know that there will be an evaluation link at the end of the workshop, and we appreciate your support in helping us understand how we can improve our workshops for the future. And I do look at those evaluations, so please do fill them out if you have time. My other thing is that I just wanted to ask that, remind you that this is not a political event. Our special guest, Josephine Pon, is here in the capacity as an immigrant, and she is here to help us understand immigrant experience. So please do not ask us any political questions because we don't really know anything about that. That's not our area. We're just here to help immigrants. So without further ado, I think I'll just introduce the event. As I said, this is Carlin. I am the newcomer employment specialist at Immigrant Services Calgary, and it will be my pleasure to be helping you guys today because we are doing a special online event. The event is called Overcoming Obstacles, and the point of the event is that in this last year, I've really seen a lot of newcomers and professionals from different areas struggle with their job search. They are discouraged. They're feeling a little bit sad. Some of them, maybe they no longer believe that they can reach a high level in their career. And I want to encourage everyone who's out there, who's still dreaming about their career, who's still trying to figure things out, that there are so many possibilities. We have seen many immigrants out there to create a career for themselves and to become very successful. And I don't want you just to believe me when I say it. I want you actually to believe the people who have gone through it, who have lived that experience. So it is my great honor and privilege to introduce our special guest speaker today. Her name is Josephine Pon. She's smiling at me over there, so I know she's paying attention. She's waving. So Josephine is currently the Minister of Seniors and Housing for the province of Alberta. She is the first Chinese woman in the history of Alberta to be a full minister, not an associate minister, but a full minister. And there is a difference, which I have recently learned. And so I just would like to humbly thank you for joining us, Josephine. So Josephine, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to be asking some questions just because I want to learn your story. So super excited. Are you ready? And we're just going to help people understand how immigrants can possibly reach their goals and their potential here.
Mm-hmm.
So first question, I guess, is Josephine, just to get started, I'm trying to wrap my head around her story. So how did you end up coming to Canada?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Karen. And your team organized this fantastic event. I heard that lots of people attending and they want to listen to my story. So thank you so much for all of you attending. And always, the Immigration Service Calgary is always in my heart, and I will share with you why it's always in my heart. But thank you so much for inviting me and then sharing this is an important message with all the newcomers. And then like some of the people I heard, Janine, I know you, and thank you for joining us as well. And Helen Chung from Edmonton, right? Are you there? Because I know that we are friends for, 20, 30 years. So don't tell them our age. So thank you, some of our friends here and
Yes, I'm here.
attending and supporting me. Hi, Helen.
Hi, yeah, long time no see. And so
I know.
I'm so excited to see you and listen to your story, although I know you for a long time, but I don't really know your history, so to speak.
Yeah, well, and it's not that interesting, but I'm going to share with all of you. It's important as a newcomer how to develop ourselves and challenge. What kind of challenge? So to refer to Callan, first questions that how did I end up in Alberta, Edmonton here? Actually, I didn't have a choice because it's my parents, and one day came home and say, "Hey, we are going to Canada, Edmonton." I said, "What, Canada, Edmonton? Where is it?" Because usually in Canada, we hear about Toronto, we hear about Vancouver, but back to like almost 30, 40 years ago, nobody knew about Edmonton. So there wasn't a choice. It was my parents say, we are going to Canada. So we catch a flight and arrived in 6 months.
Wow, what a story. So you talked to your family, no real warning, and then you're given in 6 months you have to. And how old were you when you first came to Canada?
Well, I'm not telling you. They can figure it out. But I was a teenager. I was a little bit older. I lived in Hong Kong for actually for my early part of my life. So which is I'm grateful that I did, because quite honest, when I come here when a teenagers, I still remember all the tradition, heritage, and culture when I was in Hong Kong. So we just carry on, and even now I still carry on the culture.
Mm-hmm. That's just so important. Okay. So you come to Canada as a teenager and you arrive in Edmonton. And what was that experience like?
Oh my gosh. I mean, Edmonton we're talking about. So I want to share you this story. So we arrived in Vancouver. Most of you know that. You stop in Vancouver, then you have the inside fight and fight from Vancouver to take an inside fight. Take it from Vancouver to the Edmonton here. We talk about back to almost 30 some years ago, right? So when we arrived in Vancouver, and then we went out to the airport and then trying to find some Chinese food to experience the fresh air. The first time when you think about in Hong Kong, you cannot have like no fresh air there, right? It's all air pollution, the car. So when we went in Vancouver, oh my God, it's so refreshing, lots of place, and so big the city, right? And then we went to a Chinese restaurant, have a dim sum, the dim sum thing. Oh my God, the shrimp dumpling like this big. I never seen it before. And then the barbecue pork like this big. You don't remember the old days? We couldn't believe it. We said, "Oh my God, how come everything was so big here? Like double size or triple size in Hong Kong." We said, must be a good place to stay. Unfortunately, after 2 days, then we realized that, oh, this is not Edmonton. This is Vancouver. You're gonna fly. Take an hour. I think it's an hour and a half or 2 hours flight from Vancouver to Edmonton. And that experience that when we arrived in Edmonton, so, oh, what a difference, right? 30 years ago, I don't know what I mean. That Edmonton is still a quite, how to say it? It is not as well developed like Vancouver, and Vancouver have a lots of Chinese there. But in Edmonton back then, we didn't have that many Chinese were there. So we arrived and say, "Oh my, what? This is something." So we arrived in May. So my sister and I didn't have to go to school because it's the end of school. So it was a good thing. And we're starting our life in Edmonton. And it was quite interesting because, you don't really have much to do in that time, right? So we just arrived by everything. And it was a very quiet life for a year for us, and try to get used to it.
I can only imagine the adjustments. Did you find it cold?
Well, there's something I was waiting for you to ask me, okay? Because it's a wow, after a beautiful summer is beautiful in Edmonton, absolutely, right? Edmonton, Calgary, Alberta is beautiful compared in Hong Kong. But the point is that when it comes, we didn't know what to expect, right? You're new here. My brother never say anything to us because otherwise we wouldn't come, I guess. So when I went to town the first time that my sister, then we went to high school here. Now you can figure out my age. So they put us in a high school. So the first year, the morning, I still remember, it was a 7:00. It's a pitch dark out there. Remember the deep winter time? So, oh my God, is it winter or it's so dark, right? So it started snowing. First time my sister and I saw the snow. It's like, oh my God. So we went to the backyard and we tried to eat snow, taste the snow. That's how excited we were. So we opened our mouth and taste the snow. So it was the first day. The second day, snowing again. Oh, we're excited and go out and oh well, after a month. And when my sister and I say, okay, when is gonna stop? And because of at that time, it was so cold. It was a couple days minus 42 almost at night, and usually during the afternoon it's about 30 some degrees. So when you think about from Hong Kong and move here, the weather is so extreme, and I think that is some one thing that most of the newcomer it still takes time to adjust is the weather in Alberta here.
Wow. Okay. So tell me, what were the early challenges you faced as a young teenager arriving to Canada?
Well, I think it's the same as same as everybody else. Language barrier, right? Well, I was lucky we didn't have to find an employee job because we were still young, but we still have to go to school, deal with the bullying that time, and also adjust to the school system here, and also the cultural shock, right? Because the culture is totally different. So you try to make the adjustment, and also that I think we'll say the isolations and loneliness. Right? The isolation, because you get used to it. You have friends in Hong Kong, you have a relative, you see them every day, you get busy, you speak your own language, Cantonese or Mandarin, and suddenly you cannot speak well in English. You gotta learn it. And you turn the TV on, you didn't know what they're talking about. Turn the radio on, you don't want to talk about. Then you get used to it. Turn it on the Chinese video tape, and watch a Chinese movie and at a Chinese radio station. So that is a challenge, and also that the weather. Definitely, that for us the weather is a problem because we have to take a bus. So when you take a bus, you walk 4 blocks under the cold minus 30 degrees, and I'm sure some of you experienced that too. By the time we got home, our legs, our hand, our feet, it all frozen, just like ice cream. So on every day we have to go home and defrost our hands and use warm water because that is the weather here, and it doesn't matter. When you're a teenager, you want to look cool, right? So you don't dress well, and that's what I had experienced. And I say that is the 5 things: language barrier, for some people, it's finding employment, jobs, cultural shock, isolations, loneliness because you don't make friends in first a few months, right? And also that the weather.
Oh, wow. That's quite a lot to adjust to all at once. And I'm sure it was hard. Now, after you completed your education, where did you go to school, by the way, for university?
Yes, that would be in Alberta here. And then I have a master's degree with the University of Liverpool as well.
Oh, wow.
Master's degree in business. Yeah. Yeah. So so go to school here and finished. Yeah.
And how did you start your career in Canada?
If you want to ask my very first job or after I finished school.
How about your first job? I want to hear a good story about the first job.
Well, same as everybody else, but I was lucky, okay, because as my sister and I, we were the young teenagers, right? So we can do anything. It doesn't really matter to us because we were student back home, right? So my sister and I just started in a Chinese restaurant. Well,
Oh,
because of the language barrier, right? So we want to make some extra money. Well, money is tight. It was tight because my parents are, bring money, but still, when my parents were unemployed, they didn't make any income. So my sister and I have to go to work part-time and just like pocket money for our lunch money, right? So my sister and I first job was working in the Chinese restaurant in Chinatown. But always, right? Most of our immigrants, the first job usually in their own community because you speak the same language.
right,
Yeah.
right. Wow. That sounds like a challenge. And then how did you later on start a career in Canada when you were older?
In Alberta,
Mhm.
so of course I did finish school. Then how I did started in banking is after finish school, then I got involved lots of volunteer work, and that's how I got to know Helen Chung. Helen is an advocate, is a very active person in Chinese community and any community and volunteer. So I started my volunteer first job in Chinatown, and I said, oh wow, that's interesting. Not just as get to know friends, some new friends, some people that you learn the culture, and as well as that you're starting to make the connection, and you're starting integrate in the Canadian culture. And I just realized that after I start volunteer, and luckily that and I just want to let everybody know my first event. I was coordinator with a big group of team and organized as the Miss Edmonton Chinatown. I can't remember 1980. Yeah, I was one of the organizers, the beauty pageant. It was my first event, and luckily that event helped me a lot. I learned a lot from all the leader in the community. There is the panel is about 20 some because you organize a big pageant, right, for Chinatown. And I learned not just the culture, you learn the organizational skills because of a little bit difference in Canada, and also the networking, right? Because I'm working and I have to work with some Canadian and some people from the different culture too, then to do the pageant. So I start learning. Oh my, this is interesting. How to interact with other people, how to organize things, and that helped me to develop my career in banking, because that time for when I did the pageant, Hong Kong Bank was one of the sponsors. So they knew that I was organizer. I get to know the vice president there. Then he got to know me. And after the event, then they come to approach me and said, would you like to work for the Hong Kong Bank?
Oh, that's how you got your first job in the banking.
That's how I got my job in the banking.
That's remarkable.
Through that volunteer work.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so you organized a pageant. Was it a beauty pageant?
It was a beauty pageant, yeah. I wasn't the contestants. I was the organizer.
Sorry, for a moment there, I had an image of you in my head, walking across the stage.
Oh, no. I was looking after all the contestants. It was, we have about 15 contestants, and it was fun. And I was the one looking after chaperone. So I was looking after them. So that really helped me the leadership skills. Okay. Because when you're young, the leadership skills are different than when you're really working with a big group of a leader in the community. And also they're working with a corporate people like VP or those are corporate high-end people. And that really opened my eyes and opened my mind. It's a both way.
That's remarkable. Okay, so you volunteered, which is how you ended up working for the HSBC, right?
Yes.
So tell me about your experience at HSBC. So the vice president invites you to work, and what's your first job at HSBC?
A teller.
Oh, you were a teller.
I was a teller. So it's an upgrade because I was working in a restaurant. Then I get upgraded after graduating and working in the volunteer work. Then I got upgraded to become a teller. Because at that time, working in a bank is really a privileged job. And we'll talk about 30 some years ago, right? And you learn so much. And I was a teller. And because it's an HSBC, that my language skills as a Cantonese, I'm fluent, right? And that's why they can utilize my language. So it's always good to have a second language, as I always say. So don't feel bad because you can't speak perfect English. because I'm just like you when I got here. And I learned English, and while I grow up. And you know that when you work in a bank, you have to speak all the Caucasian, and you're dealing with the racist customer, and you just have to learn fast. That's the only way to push you to learn English fast is working in the mainstream organization, not necessarily the bank, anywhere. You have to get out of your comfort zone. That's what we call. The comfort zone is in my community, speak my own language, and I can read and write. That is the comfort zone. But that comfort zone, it doesn't last long. If you want to move ahead and this is your home, you want to learn the culture. And that's what I did. I get out of my comfort zone. It wasn't easy, but obviously I did it.
All right. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned the comfort zone, because I know that as people, we grow and learn the most when we are being pushed out of our comfort zones. So tell me a little bit more about your career in the banking sector. At what point were you forced to really abandon the comfort zone? Because maybe your comfort zone expanded, you grew as a person, and then you got comfortable in the banking sector. So when were you forced to really get out of that comfort zone again and learn and grow as a professional?
I guess it's that's when I got the promotion that I have my own office, right? So when you tell her you're dealing, then I got promotion, as we call that. It's kind of like an advisor. So when you're an advisor, you have to give advice to all your customers, not just Chinese customer, to all your customers. So you have to speak English, written and verbal very well before you communicate. Right. So that's also another comfort zone I have, because the teller, you just say, well, the old days are you get the money and count the money fast and put it away and they give you money, right? But when you become an advisor, the people have to listen your advice. So you have to explain or express yourself very well, that what kind of advice you give it to them, or explain that what kind of product or service. So that is another comfort zone I have to get out of that, or have to improve, because I'm not just a little teller anymore. I have a supervisor in the back. If anything happen, I just call my supervisor. She come up, she solve the problem. But now, because I'm facing the customer, and customer asks me, oh, well, this, and that, I cannot just always call my boss, come in, oh, well, let my boss answer the question. I have to learn that. So I think that is the second time that I get off my comfort zone, is I know that if I don't improve my English and the verbal and written, then I will have a hard time to continue my job.
Yeah, it sounds like you grew a lot in that role, because you improved your English, but you also became very independent. No more supervisor there to help you.
Well, exactly. Well, this is you had some complaint, right? Usually that they rely on you to become independent and problem solver, and also decision making. And also that what I learned is a selling skills. Selling is easy in my own language, but you're selling in English in a different language. We do sell every single day. We are all salesmen. And why do I say that? When you go find a job interview, you have an interview, you are selling yourself. You're selling yourself to the employer that hire you. We sell ourselves, we sell an idea, we share idea. That's what we sell too.
Very well. I think you certainly are telling us a lot here and sharing a lot. So I also see that, throughout your career, you slowly started moving towards leadership roles. You gained leadership when you're younger, you moved towards those leadership roles. So tell me about that experience. How did you go from being just an advisor to going to leadership?
Yeah, well, you know what? Only 2 words I advise the people is a hard work. Hard work, because there's no free lunch. Okay, if for some of you don't understand what a free lunch means, it's slang. It means that everything you want to earn, you have to work hard to earn it. Right? That's no difference that when I was working in the bank and move up. Then I realized that, well, you know what? because it's a visible minority maybe, or because I want to move ahead faster than anybody else, I have to work hard. So instead people work like 7 hours a day, I work 8 hours a day. I went to work early, probably half an hour earlier, and I stayed behind half an hour later. So everyone's go home on time, I stay behind. And sometimes I even go to work in the weekend. Well, I was young, right? I was young, and I only have one focus: is how can I get out of the comfort zone? How can I improve myself? And I target. You know what? One of this day, I want to become a branch manager or manager. That's my target. I set my target. I set my roadmap, and that's how I move. And according to my target, what I need to do to reach that level. So when I become the manager, it's just because the hard work and always it's a performance, right? So performance means well, your hard work, you get more customer, you do things differently, you provide some good idea, like particularly in a meeting. Most of us are newcomer. The one issue we have, but maybe it is a culture. We stay quiet. Often, well, I learned, I have that experience too. I never have a question.
Quiet? You were quiet.
I know it's hard to believe, but I was one time. It didn't last long. It didn't last too long. So I was quiet as a newcomer because I mean it's the confidence level that you know what, I'm not too sure if I speak, would it be a good idea, or would they understand me because my language barrier, or it's a dumb question, people will laugh at me. So this is the things that come to my mind, right? And when you join a big team and that, but you know, I said, what the heck? Don't worry about it. I want to speak my mind. If I make a mistake and or it's not a good question, then at least I participate. And quite honest, I want to share with all of you, there's no such a thing, dumb question. What the Canadian company looking for the corporations, that your participation, you want to get involved, you want to interact. And even though the question is a simple question, it doesn't matter. We always say that there's no such a dumb question. So I encourage everyone that you guys have a very lots of good, real wealth experience back to your home country. Yeah, some of you got PhD, master degree back to home country. Then when you come over here, use the knowledge, use your common sense, use that. Don't hesitate. If you're unable to speak English well, that's okay. Because when they hire you, they know that you can learn the language, but you can change your attitude. You have to have a learning attitude that I want to work hard, I want to learn, and I want to participate and engage with my colleague. It's a team. It's a teamwork, not just you. It's a team together.
That's so important. A lot of people, they don't realize how important those soft skills are. You know, the attitude, the willingness to learn, the willingness to adopt new things. And very hard to train someone to be teachable. It's so hard. Okay, so I see you moving into leadership in the banking industry. And then I'm also curious, like I see a lot of comments in the comment section in the chat here about your volunteer life. And I see that volunteering remained a part of your life throughout your career. So tell me that you're working as a full-time banker, you've got your own career, but you're still volunteering, you're still serving. Where does that passion come from?
Okay, well, that's a couple of things. Because as I start my job, I get to know Canada well, and it started when I was working for the bank. So I think that interests me. Oh, that's fantastic. So I studying the work in a bank, and then the moving up, and it's not easy because as teenagers, you get older, you want to marry, you want to have children, and working in a bank is not easy because you continue to have to take courses. You have to continue to upgrade yourself to get licensed, right? So this is another thing. Not just when you get a job, you stop there. You get a job, but you want to continue to upgrade yourself to get the newest knowledge, right? To learn new skills, to make sure that you're competitive. because you don't want to stay in one stage. You want to move ahead, and when for you to move ahead, not just that you're working hard, you want to show the people that you not stop learning. So that's what we did. Well, all the people who work in a bank, they understand what I say, because you never stop learning. I never stop learning, right? So after that, I got married and I have a son, young son. So that's another interesting things too, because you have full-time job, you have to study, you have the young child, and you got to look after your family. So it was a hard work, but I just believe one thing, that you know what, that's the process. My son will grow up. He wouldn't be he wouldn't be a baby forever, right? So I'm not going to stop. And I guess I'm quite ambitious, and I always set the bar higher. So that's what I did. When I set a bar higher, I want to reach that goal. So even though harder, quite honest, you know that I usually work until like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night, and you see my email sent it to you probably sometimes at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It is just a habit I generated all this year, that I always want to complete my task first before I go to sleep.
Okay.
But don't learn, because I only sleep 3 hours a day. Not everybody are able to function, right? But this is how I did, is just really work hard, and set the goal and believe in yourself. You can reach that goal one day.
Wow, so interesting. And also you balance all of that with a child, which to me seems like superwoman.
Well, not really, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Okay, well, just going back to the volunteering, I was just curious, like, where did you continue to volunteer throughout your career?
Yes.
Where did
I forgot to answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. I just, you get me too excited to tell about myself. No, well, not that many people are interested about me, but thank you for giving me the opportunity and stakes to say that, to share. Volunteer work, I started when I was start working in bank, because that gave me a job. And one thing, because I got my job, I start my career, then I have a family, then I have a son, then I gotta start thinking that, you know what, Alberta treat me real well, Canada treat me real well, and they provide a certain benefit and all this stuff. I want to give back. So I started giving back a lot of my spare time, and that's how I started. I've been volunteer for a number of organizations like the Lions Club, Granville Museum, Hong Kong Canada Business Association. I have some business associations, and as well that I have a social, those are nonprofit organizations as well. So I've been volunteer for, oh gosh, almost my whole life, and I stopped until I got appointed as a minister and MLA. Because that's so that's the only time I stopped. So almost my whole life, because every time I work for different organizations, nonprofit organizations, I'll always learn some stuff. So there's two organizations I want to especially mention. Is one of them that come from my heart, the Immigrant Service Calgary, and I was the board chair for 3 terms, and I was the board member of the ISC for almost 10 years. And also I was the chair of the Immigrant Distinction Award for, oh my God, 3 years a vice chair and 7 years a chair.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. Just thinking about that. And I see that you have this attitude where you genuinely care about the community. You want to serve people. That's always been a consistent theme and vein throughout your story. So tell me now, I'm kind of curious, like, how did you decide to go into politics? So you eventually do leave the banking sector, even though it was very good, and you reach leadership. Like, how did the attitude of service influence your decision to enter politics and run for office?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a politics, not everybody enjoy it as much. It's sometimes it's a challenging, and as you know that quite often the ethic community that people from the different country not interested in politics in Canada, right? So that I was one of them before. I was one of them. You know what? Forget it, politics. I'm not interested. I'm just interested in make money. I just interested that make more money, save money, and go for travel, buy a house, and steady. So because of my volunteer work, I get involved and got to know number of a politician. So so then I had that the first hand that I draw me interested politics. Because those are on and off, those become my friends, right? The ministers, the MLA, or a senator. So they shared their story with me. And as you know, mentioned that I always have a heart to serve the public, right? I volunteered all the nonprofit organization. Then I said, you know what? How can I move myself to next step? How can, because as a volunteer, you only quite limited, right? So look for the way, how can I make difference in people's life? How can I make a difference? So that's why when I talk to all my MLA friends and ministers friends, then I realized that maybe that's something I would be interested in. That's how it started.
That's how this started. So was there a moment where there just was a light bulb in your head that went off and you said, this is what I need to do next?
Oh yeah, because of course, right? When you see that the downturned economy and the people that suffer because of you know, the loss of job and people unemployed, and then you would think about that. How can I make changes? How can I help that become part of the government, part of the problem solving a person then that help Albertan to get out of this this issue. So that's a way like, but you know what? That's the only way and only time I can contribute is to become the MLA or minister. So that's how the light bulb. And beside that, is a lot of people around you. So the friends is very important because they give me a courage because I wasn't confident enough to run it. You doubt yourself because it's not like a banking. After you started many years, you have a banking experience. It doesn't matter where they transfer you to the branches. Because in my last year with banking, I was working in a PR regional office in downtown. So it doesn't matter banking or long time. But when you switch to banking and corporate, then become a public figure, it's totally different, right? So you have water. Oh yeah. So just say, okay, well, can I do it? You doubted yourself, but I really want to give a try because people tell me that I am good. I have a heart. I have a passion. That doesn't matter you serve the public or you serve the corporations or work in corporation or work for a nonprofit organization. As a person that you believe in yourself, then everything is possible. Nothing's impossible. If currently you have a challenge to say that, oh, my English is not that good and this and that, well, maybe you want to find a way to improve your English and make sure that learn to reach your goal. Because if you're sitting here and just thinking, it doesn't work. It's the action. It's the attitude.
An attitude. Oh, very good. All right. I also am seeing a theme of leadership throughout your career. So you became the boss in the bank. You became management in the bank. You were a management in volunteering. You're a management in bank. Now you are the politician and you're a manager there. So there's this theme of leadership. And I was just curious, you know, as you're working as a leader, what did you learn? And what did you learn from those leadership roles? Because sometimes we learn different things from different roles.
Oh, definitely. Every time you lead a team and sit in a different leadership, I think to me, the one common goal is roll up your sleeve and work with your team. That's the one thing, even though working in the Immigrant Service Calgary, not working, but volunteer there, I would just sit there and talk to my team talk to the board and the IDA. To give you an example, idea what I learned is we can sit in the room from 10 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. just planning. Okay, so what I learned is your engagement, your leadership, how to give a direction. Okay, how to give a direction. And then you also that you roll up a sleeve, then when you start working, you probably want to get involved too. Lead them, share with them. Because if they work in overtime, you probably want to work overtime to get things done.
Right. So the leader needs to show the initiative of joining them in the hard work, of being there with them, that they are all supported by the leader.
Always a hard work.
Yeah.
Because a hard work gives you a chance to learn too at the same time, right? So to me, I think number one's a hard work, and number two is adopt the changes, be flexible. Because it's quite often the immigrant, you have your own mindset, particularly those ones that are used to working in back to your home country. You have a different culture, workplace culture. I guess it's that you have to be very flexible and more open-minded to accept and adopt the changes. You cannot say, well, I don't do this in my home country. Well, this is Canada. That's why you moved to Canada. You want the changes. You want to have better future for your children. And you have to adopt the changes.
Wow, you have so many changes and so many like journey stories here. I think we're actually kind of coming short on time. So I guess I'll just finish off with one last question. So looking back at your journey, I guess to ask you, what was the most challenging part of your journey as an immigrant? And how did you overcome that?
Oh, I think same as for everybody else, it's a language, how to learn a language. I mean, not just speaking, you learn good to manage that. You can move up in a corporation, you can move up, even become a politician. Because when you're debating in the legislature, you only have 35 seconds to respond. 30. So when the opposition asks you question, Minister Pond, this and that, can you please provide or the debate? So the speaker will say, Minister Pond, get up, 35 seconds. You have to provide the answer. So that's what I have to feel comfortable. I have to feel confidence that I will present myself. By doing that, you have to practice. You have to advance the English, and you have to get involved in the community. Deal with different people. Deal with the Canadian. Learn the culture, and even quite honest, they learn from you at the same time. Just like when I was in the banking, that not just me to learn the language and learn the culture. At the same time, all my colleagues love to learn my culture too.
That helps.
It's a both ways. So sometimes don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Oh, because I don't speak well, I don't want to get involved. Don't. Try to make friends. Try to share the culture, and just believe in yourself. You can reach that one day. You will. I'm the example.
Well, Josephine, I just want to thank you so much for being such a wonderful example to us all. I want to ask you more questions, I know, but we have only 10 more minutes and I want to give some people opportunities to ask some questions. So we will now open up the Q&A for everyone. If they want to ask questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat box. And I know Mr. Pond has agreed to graciously try to answer some of them, but we did have one question come earlier from our good friend Bobby. So I think Bobby messaged us earlier with a question and I'll read it now. So Bobby wanted to say, Josephine, do you believe that an immigrant can ever be the Prime Minister of Canada?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing's impossible. So I encourage some of you that if you're interested in politics, let's take action. Is starting a volunteer in some of the MLA's office. Learn the process. Learn what is this the politics about, and also that in university they have a political science that you can take that degree to understand the culture, understand the political side. So The answer, yes, but it won't be me. It won't be me. That's what I'm saying. But it's possible.
May I ask a question, substitute question, please? If you don't mind.
Of course, Bobby. Yeah.
I love volunteering, and if you need a volunteer, I will. If I give you a shout out, would you need a volunteer?
You know what? Yes, I do. I do. I can get my assistant that send you the address through the Immigrant Service Calgary. Then you will. I can talk to you afterward. And if you're interested in politics and you get involved, it's important not just to become a politician. Even though all of you are live in this country, you live in Alberta now. Go out to vote, become a citizen. That's a sense of belonging. Because you want to be a Canadian. You want to have a right to vote, to voice your opinion. So that's why we have an election every 4 years. And you can choose the party you like and make sure that the voice the concern you have. And so here, guys, if you're not Canadian yet, go to ISC to take that course, a citizenship course, and for free, and then get that test, become a Canadian. That's how you feel when Colin say that, when you feel like become a Canadian, when that moment that you throw in, I am a Canadian, I'm a citizen of Canada.
Mhm.
That moment, you know that this is my home. I am Canadian Chinese. I never forget my culture, the heritage. I never forget that I am Chinese, but at the same time, I am Canadian.
Thank you, Josephine. And I'm sure so many of us will either feel that way or will feel that way too. It's a beautiful thing when we become Canadians. Okay, so we have another question from Sunpreet. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So her question was, what is your advice to overcome failure? So what is your advice to overcome failure?
I guess that I consider I'm a very positive person, by the way, as you can tell from my speech. Well, of course, I get sad for a while. And the way I think it, what did I do wrong? Why did I fail? What caused me that I failed this task or failed it, that I couldn't get a job? Let's put it that way. Okay. So when you say, oh, I went for interview and I was well prepared and end up that, say, I didn't get a job. I get all the academic, I got all the training. Why I didn't get a job? So what I did is instead that, okay, I consider that's a failing. And I look back as what did I do wrong? And find the root cause. And often that when I didn't get a job, when they tell me that, oh, I'm sorry, Josephine, you didn't get a job. I said, oh, okay, well, I'm not disappointed. Thank you very much. But at the same time, please tell me, what did I do wrong? And why you didn't choose me? And what should I improve for the next job? People appreciate that. And in fact, that when you ask that, they may say, hey, wait a second. You know, this person is willing to learn from the, you know, from the mistake or failing. And actually, you will impress the person. I want to send you some story. I said, can I quickly share one story? That's what I did at work. I was working in Canada Mortgage and Housing and the federal government for 9 years. Okay, that's what I did. I applied a job, one job there. I didn't get a job, but I asked them, okay, what did I do wrong? How can I improve myself? Then he told me that, hey, by the way, we have some spot available in that department. Would you be interested? Well, definitely I'll be interested. Guess what? I got hired. Because I approached them, because I told them I'm willing to learn from my mistake and I move forward. I'm not hesitate to ask why. And I got in my job, and that was job that I'm working for the federal government, and I stayed there for 9 years before I went back to the bank again.
Very good. Okay, we've got a wonderful question from another client or another participant. Her name, I believe it's a she, is Si Jin Lim. And she says, thank you for your speech, Josephine. I currently am finishing my 3rd year of an accounting program at SAIT. I've been looking for opportunities this summers. However, it seems that the job market is quite tough right now. What would you recommend me to do as a student this summer?
Well, yes, thank you for the questions. I think that is the same questions in lots of students' mind right now, because it's usually we have lots of job available for the student. So there are 2 things I would advise you, that you continue looking, and instead of sending resume, sometimes you just go your accounting. So you can go, you may want to work for the bank. So go into the bank, job out your resume, meet the manager if they allow you to, be proactive. If you can, then upgrade yourself. Continue taking courses. That's what the employer like to see. That you they never stop learning, right? Don't get discouraged, okay? Because you're not the only one that still looking for a job. There's a many of them out there that are looking for a job. But while you're looking for a job, then just continue taking courses, even a skill, upgrade yourself. And that's very important, because when we hire people, I do lots of hiring. What we see is it this person that continue want to learn? So what we're looking at that, okay, well, you stop here, you have a 2 years that are not doing anything, but why you waste your time? Because that is showing us that are you the person, employee, so willing to learn new stuff and continue to upgrade yourself.
Great. Thank you. All right. So there is another question, and this is from Pierre. He says, "Dear Josephine, greetings from Peru. Thank you for joining us." Wow. I know. I love it. I will be traveling with my family this August. Oh, thanks for sharing your experiences. I firmly believe the best way to show how good you are as a person and as a professional is by getting into the game, practicing. Your advice, do not hesitate. It's so powerful. So that was just a comment, but I wanted to give that. And
Carlin, I think Cover wants to ask a question, and he said, can he ask it on the microphone?
He actually had to leave. He messaged me.
Okay.
Leave because he left. So sorry. Yeah, no, it's okay. He left to go to another Zoom meeting. Yeah. So Josephine, this is from Bobby. He's asking a question. Josephine, how do you stay so positive, and what do you do to get yourself back on track when you waver? Well, this is something we all go through sometimes.
I guess so. Well, thank you for the question, Bobby. How can I become very positive? It's just because it's that you have a choice. We all have a choice, okay? And I always learned that from my dad. One time he told me, okay, well, you know what? This is the glass half full, okay? So the way you look at, either you're looking at, oh, thank God, I still have a half a glass of water for me to drink. That's a positive. Or you say, why is only half glasses of water for me? Why not the full glasses? Why? I'm waiting for the full glasses. Give me another half of the water. Fill on my glass before I drink it. I get angry. That is your choice. So to me, if I'm struggling, angry, upset, or don't do anything, I'm going to stay like this forever. If I want to make changes, then I have to figure out how can I make these changes. The only way that it's constructive, that you can just move on, is a positive attitude. And you say, you know what? This is my learning experience. I fail, but I learn from it. And I'm going to move on to what I learned. It's so powerful that where you fall, you get up from the same place and move on. If you're going to just you fell there, you're going to stay there, and you're not going to get up and walk and move on. You're going to stay there forever. That's how I look at it. Of course, it's like I sometimes I fail, sometimes I didn't get what I want, and this or that. But I consider this is a learning experience. And yeah.
So failure is an opportunity to learn. That's very important. And it is now 6 p.m. So we are at the end of our time, but we have one last question. And I know, I'm sorry if your question we didn't get to it, but we are at the end of our time. So is it okay if we have one last question?
Oh no, you have some time because I finished my session today. So if you want to the overtime, I'm okay with that. Oh, by the way, everyone, you see my background here? Okay, did you see it? This is my minister office. I'm sitting in my minister office talking to all of you. And hopefully one of these days, all of you will come to visit me in the legislature building. It's a wonderful building in Edmonton.
That's so wonderful. Okay, so we've got another question from Samuel. Samuel wants to know any advice for immigrants with a refugee background.
I don't treat you as a refugee. It's different than a newcomer or different foreign worker or university or foreign international student. Okay, refugee sometimes is a little bit harder because I guess it's just circumstances, but never give up because you'll have a different background than the other. And the process is just the same. And then the losses of the immigration agents, they have to provide some service for refugee as well. I know that Immigration Service Calgary used to have a program to provide to look after all the refugee. But you know what? Doesn't matter who you are, refugee, international student, foreign worker, we are just a newcomer to Canada. You have to have the attitude. You just have to establish yourself, learn English, language barrier, learn the culture, and integrate society and set your goal. Nothing is impossible. This is an example for you, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud because I set my goal, and this is actually my dream job. And when I realized that I wanted to become a politician, I never thought that I would become a minister. But this is a very, very good job, and it's a hard work too. So to you, refugee friends, be positive. It's not because your refugees are different. Canada treat everyone equally. Lots of opportunity for all of you. It's a matter of your attitude and how to reach your dream. Nobody else can help you but yourself.
That's just so inspiring. And I think that's just the best note on which to end. We humbly thank you, Minister, for coming and sharing with us today. And I just thank you, everyone, for attending. Again, as I said, please fill out the evaluation form. And I also want to humbly thank our Facebook audience for joining us. So we're going to disengage now. And so I'm going to allow everyone, they can leave at